It is Yoda. Monday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. I got very involved in a brainstorm, and so I'm a day late and $1 short. Do bear with me while I set up my side monitor. Cowabunga. I'm going to fiddle with this for a moment. And take off my earbuds. Although, they do make fetching earrings, would you not agree? So, let's go straight to the introduction and then hit the ground running. I'm going to tap button 3. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering each school of meditation so that you will not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible, whoops, wrong button, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So let's turn our attention to, let's see here, real quick. The latest iteration of very easy meditation. Just as one would not take a luxury electric vehicle off-roading, but instead would find a beautiful road upon which to drive, likewise, the road upon which our mindfulness and meditation travel is the Anu Yoga of energy work. Now, my favorite Anu Yoga is Mudra Anu Yoga's finger gesture-oriented energy work, which sounds deliciously salacious. So what we're going to do is practice. We're going to count 4 collections of 12 sets of 12 rounds. I'm going to switch to Jumbo Cam quickly and show you how that works. Now, this is ungainly. One moment while I tend to the background. I'm going to put this on Aught for a moment. Be right back. Okay, here we go. So a round is simply one inhalation followed by one exhalation. After all, if you didn't breathe out, you would turn blue, tip over, wiggle funny, and scare the dog. How do we count 8 rounds on just 4 fingers and 1 thumb? Simple. During each inhalation, we advance the right thumb. Over the course of 12 inhalations, our thumb moves thusly, always beginning with the little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now this is fun for a minute or two, but it's not going to help you meditate for an hour. If you want to meditate for at least about 15 minutes, you got to multiply this by 12. And that's where the left hand comes in. In the left hand, we don't count rounds, we count sets of 12 rounds. So beginning with our little finger, it would be 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 rounds, 4, 5, 6 sets of 12 rounds, 7, 8, 9 sets of 12 rounds, 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 rounds. Now that's only about 15 minutes. We need to multiply that before. Fortunately, on the back of our right hand, we have 4 knuckles. Looks like I can give you some chin music, doesn't it? So we begin by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger. Both these hands are placed in our lap, palms up. That way our thumbs can happily count creases. So let's return to our diagram. By working with our little fingers, we are gently inviting our subtle energies to gather in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. We now turn to the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, described by some as Ati Yogas, mindfulness, and meditation. How does mindfulness work? Mindfulness is simply noticing in a very special way, noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But notice what? Well, we're wired to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. Now, is there a simple way to do all this? Yes. And that is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. But what about meditation? Meditation is just relaxing in harmony with our exhalation with such efficiency that which we perceive during our previous inhalation can fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining until the next inhalation rolls around. So our job is not to get rid of what we experience. Our job is to cooperate with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems in such a way that we're able to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly as we breathe in, and physically relax and mentally release as we breathe out. That's it. That's why the Buddha said it's possible to master this in but a week. So let's jump right in. If you've just joined in, and yet the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or mindfulness or meditation, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check for questions at least once every 15 minutes or so. Excuse me. Excuse me. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a question about mindfulness or meditation, simply type your question in the chat window. Okay, now I'd like to give you some explanation, hopefully, and enhance your enjoyment of this process. We come now to our second of 4 collections of 12 sets of 12 rounds. A round is just 1 inhalation and 1 exhalation. We can count 12 inhalations on our right hand, and we can advance our right thumb during each inhalation in the following pattern, beginning with the little finger: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Doing so takes between 1 and 2 minutes. We can multiply that by 12, counting sets of 12 rounds, beginning with our left little finger: 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 rounds, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, if this sounds ungainly, it's because it is. But repetition is the mother of skill. Come to these live streams once every 12 hours, and within a week or two, you will master this entire cycle of teachings, or cycle of techniques. So 12 sets of 12 will only get you about 15 minutes. So if you want to meditate for the better part of an hour, we can count knuckles. So we've already counted the knuckle of our right little finger, and now we're going to count the knuckle of our right ring finger. We're going to rest that great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, upon the tip of our left ring finger, and set these 2 hands palms up in our lap. Now that we know what to do with our thumbs and our hands and our breaths, what do we do with our mind? I would like to explore mindfulness and meditation, known in Tibet as Ati Yoga, through the lens of neuroscience, because I feel that really dispels a lot of confusion. Every time we inhale, whether we mean to or not, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. Kind of looks like a tadpole, doesn't it? Now, this sympathetic nervous system is completely different from our prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is great for focusing and analyzing, but it triggers our amygdala, the seat of aggression and anxiety. So it's not ideal for meditation. The sympathetic nervous system is wired to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which I'm sure you can agree is the opposite of concentration. But what is it we're supposed to notice? Well, we're wired to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. So some people say you're only supposed to concentrate on the here and now, but that's concentration. Instead, we just relax and are completely vulnerable to whatever comes up, be it external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. So that begs the question, what do we do with the gurk that we can notice? To quote Gomez Adams, in the inner recesses of the human heart. Simple. We meditate. What's the neuroscience of meditation? I thought you'd never ask. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third of our spinal cord as well as its upper third. This bad boy has evolved to help us to both physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that whatever we perceived during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining. In other words, sometimes what we notice can make us feel like we're in a cage, like we're in a prison cell. Meditation opens the cell door. That kind of reminds me of a grunge song. I don't remember, was it Gonna Break These Rusty Chains? Remember the name of that song? Going all the way back to the early 90s. If you remember it, let me know in the chat window. Anywho, so in a nutshell, you gotta breathe in and you gotta breathe out. Most of us don't practice mindfulness and meditation. Why? Because most of our cerebral cortices are either ignoring the messages of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system or actually fighting against them, which is très lame, if you ask me. So all we're doing in mindfulness and meditation is getting our brain to start cooperating with its sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. That's it. That's why in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha promised it's possible to master this path in as little as a week. So now that you know what to do with your breath and what to do with your hands and what to do with your mind, oh, there's one last thing. Here we go. The key to this all are words. What is the key to mindfulness? Silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. What is the key to meditation? Silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Pro tip, this is the only label you need ever use in meditation. Now, let's dive in for our second of 4 meditation practices. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist mindfulness, meditation, or philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Allow me to formally welcome you to this evening's live stream. So, I don't know about you, but I'm neurodivergent as fuck. I have both ADHD and autism and all the comorbidities. So I've had to learn a bunch of hacks so that I could really benefit from mindfulness and meditation. I'd like to share some of those hacks with you right now. Sure, we can count. We can set a timer and work with a smartphone, but smartphones can be stolen or confiscated. And so it's nice to figure out a system that's independent of a timer. And so I work with Bengali crease counting. Bengali crease counting not only works as a meditation timer, it's also a way to manage or settle energy and a way to practice neurodivergent stimming. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. So here's what we're going to do. Right now we've come to our third of 4 collections of 12 sets of 12 rounds. I'd like to explain that to you super quick. How do we count 12 rounds on just 4 fingers and 1 thumb? Simple. Let's start with definitions. A round is just 1 inhalation and 1 exhalation. We can use our right thumb to count 12 rounds over the span, 12 rounds over the span of 12 inhalations, and in the following manner. Always beginning with a little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That only takes about 1 or 2 minutes, unless you multiply it by 12. 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 rounds. 4, 5, 6 sets of 12 rounds. 7, 8, 9 sets of 12 rounds. 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 rounds. Now, of course, that only takes about 15 minutes. And if you want to sit for an hour, you want to incorporate that with knuckle counting. So right now, since we're starting our third collection, we will rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger in our lap. So both our hands are in our laps, palms up, so that our thumbs can happily count creases. Now, of course, that begs the next question. Now that we know what to do with our inhalation and with our fingers and knuckles and the like, what do we do with that pesky thing called a mind? Well, I thought you'd never ask. The key to mindfulness is to notice in a very special way. To notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly. But notice what? To notice mind's antics of perception. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. Including emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. Could there be an easy way to do all these things at the same time? Yes. Simply silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. What do we do with all that we noticed? Glad you asked. There is a way to relax in harmony with our exhalation that is so effective, it causes that which we perceived during our previous inhalation to fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. How do we do that? By silently and mentally reciting the 1-syllable verb during each exhalation. So now that we know what to do with our brain, what to do with our breath, and what to do with our hands, let's go for it. And quick reminder, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist mindfulness, or Buddhist meditation, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Remember to sit in a comfortable manner, and during your inhalation, do your best to experience a vertical traction between your head and your tush. During your exhalation, relax. We come now to our fourth of 4 collections of 12 sets of 12 rounds. Upon our right hand, we count the 12 inhalations thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over our left hand, upon our left hand, we count 12 sets of 12 inhalations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We keep track of this, our fourth collection of 4 sets of 4 rounds, by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap, palms up, so that our thumbs can happily count creases. The essence of mindfulness is to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which, as you can tell, is the opposite of concentration. What is it we're supposed to notice? Whatever comes up. We notice mind's antics of perception. Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. That seems a bit overwhelming. Fortunately, the essence of that is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. So what is it we're supposed to do with all these things that we notice? There is a way to relax in harmony with our exhalation, which is so effective that which we perceived during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. How do we do that? By silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Let's dig in. By the way, the moment you have a specific question, simply type it away. Type it into the chat window, but allow me to remind you of this. The path of being rigid and fearful and controlling leads many places, but peace is not one of them. The path we traversed, the path the Buddha traversed, was one of being flexible and loving and laid back. That means we are vulnerable to whatever comes up, whether that which comes up is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. The founder of Dzogchen put it this way: it doesn't matter what you notice. Noticing painful things does not make you bad. Noticing pleasurable things does not make you good. Whatever we notice can be thought of as simply energy. Good or bad, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque, external or internal, just think of it as energy. And a sun is like a good example of this. Approximately 12 hours a day, we see the orb of the sun arcing across the sky. Approximately 12 hours every night, we don't see the sun. Similarly, we can think of daytime as during our inhalation. The energy is present. And we can think of exhalation as the nighttime. The sun appears absent. Similarly, whatever comes up is this. And as we exhale and relax even a little bit, even subtly, that's ease. Now, ease is not a pseudo-spiritual way of saying, fuck you, emotion, I don't want to feel you. Screw you, memory, I don't want to recall you. And I'm going to piously shove you the fuck away. That ain't meditation. So, think of the aphorism. Whatever comes, we let it come. Whatever stays, we let it stay. Whatever goes, we let it go. And so our job is not to sit here and just wait eagerly for that which has come to go because it sucks. No. What comes is never an indictment. It may be unpleasant, but it's not an indictment. As we relax, we notice how that which we are experiencing is a little bit less graspable. And if we are experiencing something and additionally experiencing resistance to that thing, then we get to explore how that resistance during your exhalation is a little bit less graspable. We will never run out of things to notice and release. The goal of meditation is not to have no more thoughts, emotions, or memories. That's boring. The goal of meditation is to get really good with making friends with perception and making friends with release, to forsake the very bad habit of cock blocking our sympathetic nervous system, which is wired to notice, and our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired to release, and instead to cooperate with it. Cooperating it with it doesn't make us stupid, it makes us genius. The key to being a genius is to work with our central nervous system, not against it. Now, enough of my yapping, enough of my yammering. Let's enjoy the final quarter of this evening's meditation practice. And although I mentioned 12 sets of 12, instead let's do 8 sets of 12 because we're already going over. In fact, let's do 8 sets of 8. And of course, counting to 8 is simple. All we got to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. If you get stuck or turned around or pissed off at me and you want to cuss me out, whatever, just type it in the chat window. I don't want you to feel ignored. I don't want you to feel like you're in this by yourself. You don't have to be. If this was a movie, it would be Indiana Jones and the adventure of pulling one's head out of the warm, dark, smelly place we sometimes keep it. Whoops. May we joyfully surf life's perfect imperfections. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.